Greetings and welcome. Rebecca Carner, Biofield tuner here. Today's contemplation and tuning is regarding implementation. I am going to talk just a little bit before I start the tuning today. Okay, I say that. Let's just all arrive and ground. Let me start with just a little bit of sound. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Ooh, wow, good morning. Thanks for being here, everyone. Wow. Wow. Wonderful. Okay, so the topic today is implementation, right? How to implement things in our lives. And I want to kind of tread carefully and be really specific with this. So yesterday I listened to an amazing multi-hour conversation between three doctors around naturopathic wellness, peptide therapies, on and on. And one of the doctors had been holistically and naturopathically helping people for over 30 years. And kind of offhandedly, in the middle of a really long conversation, she said, it's really interesting. Some of my patients can implement changes and implement wellness practices, and some of them don't. If I could understand anything in my practice, I'd love to know why that is, why some people can implement and some people can't. And it reminded me of a conversation I was having recently with a client around sort of laziness and procrastination. And in Biofield tuning, we don't really consider laziness a thing, right? If you're not getting to something, most people earnestly try, show up every day, try to do the things, and really do their best. Don Miguel Ruiz, always do your best. Generally speaking, to a shocking degree, that is what most people do. And so if you are not getting to something or not getting something done, typically it's not because you're a loser or you're lazy. It's because you either need support, like it's more than a one-person job, or you need to have different skills or tools or information. You need something more, but we fall into this pattern of sort of self-criticism. Oh, I didn't get to it. Kick that can down the road. I must be lazy. I'm such a procrastinator. And then that becomes a self-perpetuating story. But then if you really sit, rather than just fall into the pattern of I'm lazy, I didn't get to a thing, if you actually look at the thing, wow, I'd really like to get this fixed, or I'd like to get this project done. If you really look at it, then you often see that you need one more element that is not of self. And therefore, you weren't lazy at all the whole time. And so this idea of implementing, I want to tread a little bit carefully, because one of the biggest sort of hangups and ultimately roadblocks that I see in sessions with clients is people shoulding on themselves. If you've ever worked with me or really ever probably had a conversation with me, you've heard about there are no shoulds. Don't should on yourself. I try not to should on others. I try not to should on myself. So I want to saunter up real nice and easy to this whole idea of things that we want to implement in our lives, because I am not, capital N-O-T, not recommending that we should on ourselves, that we get all school marmy and finger waggy at ourselves. This is not implementation. Implementation has almost this sort of light roll off, kind of like the foam at the top of a wave, right? The foam isn't pushing the wave up to shore. It's literally just surfing on the underlying energy of the Fibonacci curl of the water wave. That's what the energy, the energetics, the living energetics of implementing, of introducing an introduction, an invitation, an arrival of something into your life as a new pattern. Ooh, yeah, let's put some sound on that. That's what implementation is. So what I really wanted to do as a collective thought experiment, contemplation, and tuning today was for us to, each the one, think of something that you'd like in your life, right? Not something you should be doing. I should be exercising 4 hours and I should be meditating 1,000,000 hours a week. Okay, no. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking implementing small practices. Like, I'd like to feel better. I'd like to feel more rested during my day. I'd like to feel less stressed. Okay, what might I implement? What could I add to my day? Taking a breath. Taking a little sip of water intermittently, not chug-a-lugging, just taking a little sip of water. Taking a break when my body wants to move, and when I take the break, actually taking the break, not getting up from the computer or getting up from your workstation or whatever and continuing to think about it the whole time. No. I mean, take a break. I mean, think about something else. Put yourself in another place if you can. There are a couple of concepts. So one of them, anybody who's talked to me recently has heard me go on and on about the body of work called the Gene Keys by Mr. Richard Rudd. And in one of the Gene Key pieces, he writes that self-discipline is actually just akin, really right next door, basically the same as self-discipline. And again, the minute you mention discipline, yeah, everybody gets all up in their shit, right? Okay, no. Discipline, right, to be a disciple of something means that you are devoted, that you consider it deeply, that you sort of carry it as an awareness, right? That is what self-discipline is. I want less stress, a more regulated nervous system throughout the day. I love my vagal tone to improve. So what might I, if I am a disciple, if I am a student in building my awareness of that as I grow it in my life, what might I add? What might I do? It's a question, it's an invitation. There is no yes, well done. There's no prescription that needs implementing. That's not the thing. The things that you add, the things that you remove, the things that you finesse or shift come from inquiry. You don't start with the laundry list of shoulds. Yeah. Whew, okay, let's everybody take a breath. Isn't that funny? I just heard, yeah, okay, well then how do I know if I'm implementing it right? If I don't follow the list and tick off my list. Check. Right, okay, yeah. But how do you know if you feel better? If in any moment you as you presence, as you notice, again, not what you think you should be feeling, but actually notice what you are feeling. And if it feels more aligned, closer to what you had been aiming for, that's how you know you got it right, right? There's no report cards, y'all. No trophy. There's no self-actualization Grammy or Oscar, right? We don't get the gold statue of self-awareness. Nope, nope, nope. You know, because you are more yourself. Yeah. And you can't not know that. It reminds me of that, a little meme I saw one time of Piglet and Winnie the Pooh, and they were sort of pictured walking down the forest path, and Piglet says, "Pooh, how do you spell love?" And Winnie the Pooh replies, "You don't spell it, you feel it." That. That, yeah, that's right. How do you know? Because you feel it. Because you feel it. Mm, mm, You know, I guess a couple of weeks ago, I did an evening YouTube live about connecting with your higher self, which is a sort of deep and wide concept, but also a deeply functional and necessary one at this time of humanity. And in that way, when we implement by living into expressing self-love through the discipled learning and study of self and implementing through inquiry of what we can do at end every day, right? Our higher self, that aspect of us, when we are in line with our true nature, we can't not feel it. You have an experience. People call it a knowing, a surety, a faith. I felt tingly. I just felt good. That was an easy day. People have different words for it, but yeah, I was in a conversation recently about working with kids, and man, kids know. Well, okay, so everybody knows when somebody is being authentic and genuine and straight up. And you know when they aren't. Animals know it. Kids know it. Adults get away from it. But when you know you've been true to yourself, that is an internal yes, it's an internal experience, and it's unmistakable. Nice, yes. Okay, let's put some. Yeah. All right, I'm going to put this 89 hertz on my sternum and really use my energy signature as a proxy body for that internal reverberant yes, when you bloody well know you're doing you. Do you, boo? You know it. And that, as with really ultimately everything, that is an inside job. It's an inside knowing, and it's an inside achievement recognition. Yes, 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 right. And then that's the other part of implementation, is it really helps us breed and cultivate that deeper relationship with our higher self and our inner self, because only you know when you've done it, and only you can give credit, and only you can fully accept credit, right? So much of it we are hungering because we don't have strong inner relationships with ourself, strong self-trust, strong self-love, strong self-faith. We so much want external validation. We want to be seen for that what we have done. But to really be able to give yourself credit and then receive that credit, oh, that's the master skill. That's the master skill of this time of humanity. That does not lead to narcissism. That doesn't lead to egoism. That leads to love, tender self-love, like an emerging shoot. Like a germinating seed, right? And then that's what goes out into the world. Nice, nice. I know. The sensation that I got is that feels very subtle and very far away and sort of very quiet for everyone. And yeah, that's it. The signal can be quite subtle. The signal can be quite delicate and quite tender. Noise is loud. It doesn't have to be loud, and it doesn't have to be big. You know, I was contemplating this morning being true to oneself, right? What does that really mean? And if we can't be true to ourselves, how could we possibly be true to another, or true to our values, or true to our family or our community, right? If we can't be true to self. And implementing not self-sabotaging, not not sort of letting ourselves down, but again, not in that should way. It's more like even it's not that we drop the ball on ourselves. That even really feels too harsh. It's that whole, you know, when something literally just falls out of your mind, falls off your plate, right? Why do we always let ourselves fall off our plate? There, that's what implementation is. Yes, right there, right? So that's not about building bravado or egoism. It's about starting compassion and love and trueness, true blueness. It's about starting that in ourselves, for ourselves. And then that's the thing that proliferates out. Nice. Nice. Wow. Yes. Well done. And the last concept I'd like to talk about, again, I just got it from a Richard Rudd Contemplation, is this idea of silo busting, right? So a silo is an individuated structure that is contained unto itself. So silos, as he says, are everywhere. Our beliefs are silos, our mindsets are silos, our relationships are silos, our houses are silos, right? So when we want a thing or want to take better care of ourselves, and we, through inquiry, start to implement, you will find yourself probably outside of a silo. And that's okay. That's kind of the point, because, as my sister likes to say, old ways won't open new doors. And in that way, when you open a new door, you know what you did? You just stepped outside your silo. And that can be a little discombobulating, and that's okay. Because then, as you listen to your quiet inner voice, your inner knowing, your higher self, as you have that experience of, well, I just did that and I feel a little bit better today. When you have that, and if you realize, oh, and I also stepped outside of my silo a little bit in doing so, that's how you know you're okay, right? That's how you know you're okay. And then you start to breed familiarity, and it of course will then become your new silo that you will likely have to break out of one day. But that's a future you problem, right? Because what you have done in the now is you've implemented self-love through self-discipling, studying and asking about self, to self, for self, right? What if we called it that instead of self-discipline, right? I mean, it's funny, culturally, it's, yeah, I know, the fork just changed, right? I just said that, self-discipline. It's like, yeah, it's immediately in the zeitgeist, it just becomes list and all the things that I should do. Well, I didn't do that today. I wasn't perfect. Y'all, no, that's best. In yoga, right, we call it svet yaya, right? Self-study, self-discipling. That's the root of self-discipline. And that is self-care, self-love. When we are true to ourselves, only then can we be true to another or anything else. Only then can we start to be true in our self-awareness and self noticing about if what we're doing matches what we thought we needed or what we thought we were doing, right? That sounds silly, but it's a thing. And anybody, I mean, for instance, anybody who's ever kept a food journal about what you eaten in a day, it's like at the end of any day, you think, yeah, I know what I ate. But if you really journal, jot down everything that you eat, it's different than what you think. What we're doing and what we think we're doing aren't always the same. And building truth in that. Oh, yes, that's right. And right. To have more self-truth telling in the way we observe ourselves and the way we conduct ourselves, that is the engine, right? That is the Fibonacci curl that then carries the foam of implementation into the shore, right? That's right. You don't implement to force yourself, ha ha ha, right? You start to be able to truly say, oh, I am doing what's in alignment to me, or I am not. And the minute you notice that, that's when the implementation can arrive to you, right? All right. So I've been mostly using the 174 today. I'm going to switch to the 417. You know what? And let's just drop straight into harmonics. And this is the 528. There we go. By noticing and being, what implementations would you like to arrive into your life? Invite, to inquire and find in your day today and tomorrow. Nice. Nice. That's wonderful. Wow, wonderful. Thanks. All right. RebeccaCarner.com for more information, or if you'd like to book a private session, if you're in the Atlanta area, I have public events where you can come in for a session in my studio. Otherwise, be well, implement self-love in all the ways. Take your should list, recycle that, okay? Be well. Thanks so much.